top stories this evening, sponsored by Courts, bringing value home. City councillor stabbed to death in Durban Backlands. 16-year-old suspect being sought by the police. Attorney General disassociates his government from Central Housing and Planning Authority's controversial sale of prime state lands. 80 million allocation to revise Amerindian Act worthless with the PPPC's current posture, says Indigenous Opposition MP. And 1.2 million missing from 58-year-old man's bank account. Alleges bank staff is swindling his money. HGP Nightly News begins now. Good evening to our viewers here in Guyana and online. I'm Travis Chase with the Wednesday, February 5 edition of the HGP Nightly News. Here's what you need to know this evening. On the police blotter, a city councillor was stabbed to death in Durban Backlands early Wednesday. The police have not yet located his killer. More details in this report. A 16-year-old male is being sought by the police over the killing of 47-year-old Kyle Solomon and a Partnership for National Unity city councillor. The killing of Solomon happened Wednesday morning at Durban Backlands. It is believed that Solomon had confronted bandits who broke into his shop and was stabbed to death in the process. This was confirmed by several persons who spoke with Nightly News, but preferred their identities withheld.
So when I get up and I go by the window, the man was like, I don't catch you inside of me place, like you don't kill me. And he was, yes, I'm going to kill you. Right? And he continued joking me, man.
Police who are on the hunt for the 16-year-old suspect heard that this is not the first time the teen had broken into the councillor's shop. Carmelita Collins, a close friend of Solomon, spoke of the previous incident.
Last week, my daughter coming out for go to work, coming through the stockade, and when I watch, I see the shop door open. So I say, Asha, money, the Kyle shop open, and it was like 5 o'clock. She said, oh God, mommy, look. So I decided to call Kyle. I said, Kyle, you're home. He said, no, I'm at work. I said, Kyle, your shop break. He said, go in the shop. No, he said, one miss. I said, Kyle, I can't go in your shop. Why go? I go into work and I go to work.
Solomon was stabbed to his chest, lower abdomen, left side, and left elbow. His body is at the Memorial Gardens Funeral Home awaiting an autopsy. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News. Meanwhile, the Mayor and City Council says Councillor Solomon will be missed greatly as he was very vocal on critical issues and his role as an actionable councillor. As politicians from across the political spectrum express shock and sadness over the horrific killing of a Partnership for National Unity councillor Kyle Solomon, Deputy Mayor of Georgetown Denise Miller, in expressing shock and sadness, said, above all, Kyle will be missed greatly at the Mayor and City Council.
We have lost an invaluable councillor. Many times he would have stand up and represent persons. He was a councillor who you could have sit down, get ideas, his interest was the development of the people.
Miller said Solomon was passionate about his role as a councillor and about Constituency 9, which he represented. She said Guyana has lost a well-rounded councillor, a much-loved friend and colleague.
We are hurt. We're overwhelmed right now because not only the invaluableness of the council, but the fact of the community. This morning, what I've seen here is an outpour of sympathy, of sadness, because the people indeed in this area would have lost a councillor who was there for them.
Mostly, according to Deputy Mayor Miller, Solomon will be missed for being the most vocal on critical issues affecting the Mayor and City Council and its constituents.
Councillors, what do you think? And Kyle was one of the persons who were very vocal, I can tell you that. He will say to you, Mr. Mayor, this is how I see things. And so we would have lost a comrade, we would have lost a friend.
Councillor Solomon was stabbed to death Wednesday morning after he confronted a 16-year-old bandit who had broken into his shop at Durban Backlands. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News. On Tuesday evening, the Attorney General made a concerted effort to disassociate his government from the controversial commercial land deals reportedly unfolding at the Central Housing and Planning Authority. Find out more in this report.
Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anna Nandlal, during his weekly program Issues in the News on Tuesday evening, attempted to distance the government from the questionable commercial land deals that have reportedly been going down at the Central Housing and Planning Authority, CHPA. The Attorney General said he is unaware of the land transactions by CHPA involving prime lands near the ExxonMobil headquarters at Ogo on the east coast of Demerara and along the Heroes Highway on the East Bank Corridor.
Now, I don't work with the Central Housing and Planning. I don't monitor their day-to-day activities. So I am not in receipt of who gets lands or not following the government's process.
The AG made it clear that he is not defending who buys property in New York, who gets property in New York, and how they pay for it, but explained that the government has a policy in relation to the disposal of state assets, in particular lands.
Either they must be an expression of interest, inviting investments, or inviting potential applicants to apply for these lands.
Officials of the Central Housing and Planning Authority have been coming under the microscope for their alleged involvement in the sale of tens of acres of lands in prime areas to businessmen deemed close to the government. The Chief Executive Officer of the Central Housing and Planning Authority, Sharon Greaves, announced his resignation on Tuesday amid a flurry of allegations of real estate fraud and illegal sale of lands to a convicted Guyanese fraudster.
The particular gentleman, I have seen his resignation, I have seen his public statement. That issue, I suppose, will be dealt with by his lawyers, but that's not the government's business.
Tiana Co reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Stay with us. You're watching the HGP Nightly News.
Welcome to SNL Electrical Inc., where lighting and electrical needs are met with expertise and style. From the latest in electrical lamps to durable cables, circuit breakers, panels, we have it all. Illuminate your space with our elegant chandeliers, stunning crystal lights, and versatile pole lights. Looking to upgrade your comfort? Explore top-of-the-line AC units and our diverse selections of stylish styles. Visit us at 170-180 Thomas Street, Kitty, Georgetown. Discover a solution that not only lights up your world but transforms it. Call us on telephone number 226-3018 or 223-1634. SNL Electrical Inc. powering your life with elegance, quality, and care.
With 70% ethyl alcohol, Mighty Foam Hand Sanitizer eliminates 99.99% of all germs and even moisturizes in the process, leaving your skin clean and hydrated. Mighty Foam Hand Sanitizer. How do you stay clean?
It's Digicell's 18th anniversary and we're going big with our blowout sale. Get up to 40% off Samsung smartphones. Yes, you heard that right. 40% off Samsung smartphones. Grab the Samsung A05 for just $17,000. The A15 for only $27,000. And the A25 at a jaw-dropping $35,000. But wait, there's more. With every purchase, enjoy a 30-day free data plan to stay connected. Hurry to a Digicel store near you. Offer good while stocks last. Digicel, the network for everyone, everywhere.
Krishna Rock Establishment. No job is too small or too large. We specialize in all types of fabricating, machinery, excavator repairs, rice field pumps, and hydraulic hoses. Visit us at Lot 113, Block CC Monrepo, East Coast, Demerara, or call 220-9624, 616-9416, or 619-7880. At Krishna Rock Establishment, no job is too small or too large.
Welcome back to the HGP Nightly News. As Guyana prepares for general and regional elections, One political movement is adamant that the young electorate should vote for policymakers who are passionate about national and economic development. Antonio Day has more details.
During an interview with Nightly News, Darren Best, founder of Vigilant Political Action Committee, known as VPAC, expressed the view that both the People's Progressive Party Civic, known as the PPC, and the People's National Congress Reform, PNCR, should work towards fostering economic development. He noted that both parties, though eager for power, have so far not solely contributed to improving the living standards of Guyanese.
What we are being offered today is not what we're entitled to. Where is the new oil wealth going? You want me to tell you where? I'm not the opposition. I am not the government. I am a voice for the voiceless. It is going where they decide for it to go.
The behavior of government and opposition politicians, according to Best, has created a sense of uncertainty in the minds of young Guyanese. The prominent businessman noted that both parties have been divisive as it relates to certain matters of national interest.
At some point in our life, that has to stop. The sitting president today and the vice president, who are two of the most powerful people of this particular nation, have kids.
Both leaders need to set an example for young people to fathom, the VPAC founder articulated.
What happens when they get older and they pioneer something and Afro-Guyanese become president? Is that the legacy that we want people to see Guyana as? Look around the world. The only countries that have this kind of policies are countries that have autocrats.
Meanwhile, Antonio Ahmad, who is also a VPAC member, called out the state for its management of the country's debt.
What I'm seeing, and a lot of people don't notice this as Guyanese, right, is that our current government is taking X amount of loans, billions of dollars of US loans. When you take all this loan now, who will have to work and pay it back?
In a manifesto shared with this newscast, VPAC has vowed to utilize revenues from natural resources to invest in other sectors, such as manufacturing, technology, and services. This will reduce our dependency on resource extraction and create a more resilient economy capable of withstanding global market fluctuation, the document stated. Antonio Day reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
There are several loopholes in the Amerindian Act of 2006, yet the government has failed to finalize the revision process after 5 years. This is according to an indigenous representative in the National Assembly. Antonio Day will tell you more.
Over $80 million has been allocated in this year's budget for the revision of the Amerindian Act of 2006. After 5 years, this legislation is still a work in progress, according to Minister of Amerindian Affairs Pauline Sukai, when questioned by the Parliamentary Committee of Supply on Monday night. However, Member of Parliament Vincent Henry told Nightly News on the sidelines of the 100th sitting of the National Assembly that the delayed revision of the legislation is a disservice to the country's indigenous peoples.
Glaringly, it will not be done in 2025. And that is not something that's good for Guyana and the indigenous people, because there are so many weaknesses in the Amerindian Act at this time here. That's what we are seeing daily.
Henry, who is also the leader of the Guyana Action Party GAP, while acknowledging the robust components required to tighten the legislation, referenced a key area that must be addressed.
It has some very good parts, right? But there are some very weak links in it, which we have to correct. For example, the Geology and Mines Commission still has a lot of authority, to give mining concessions on indigenous lands.
The Amerindian Act of 2006 is the primary legislation that governs the affairs of indigenous peoples. Henry noted that this legislation provides for the recognition and protection of collective rights of indigenous villages and communities, and the promotion of good governance. He also highlighted that currently under the ruling People's Progressive Party, these rights are undermined.
Recently, a Tushao mentioned at the National Tushao's Council that he went to uplift documents, to see what he'll be getting as his extension. And he found that there were over 20 concessions granted by the GGMC for mining activities on his land.
Henry said that the $80 million allocation is a waste of time.
You could put $1 billion, but is what you're really aiming at. And they're not aiming to complete the process. And that is why when we win, we are going to work on it as a matter of priority. The indigenous people deserves that.
Meanwhile, Dawn Hastings Williams, also a member of parliament, shared her views on the much-needed amendment.
The time is now to take the land titling issues very seriously and the Amerindian Act. There are some flaws, there are some very good parts of the law or the act, the Amerindian Act, but there are some very weak areas that needs to be seriously taken, revised.
Antonio Day reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Healthcare workers and the elderly will be given priority when the Ministry of Health rolls out its 2025 influenza vaccination program. So says Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony. Find out more from Tiana Cole.
Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony told the Committee of Supply on Wednesday that $121 billion allocated for the health sector entails rolling out his ministry's planned influenza vaccines agenda. Opposition parliamentarian Dr. Karen Cummins inquired about the key strategic actions emerging from the National Health Strategy. Minister Anthony highlighted a significant advancement in laboratory services at the National Public Health Reference Lab. At the end of last year, the Pan American Health Organization, World Health Organization, accredited the lab, designating it one of the regional centers responsible for influenza surveillance.
So this year, the vaccines that are made for influenza, some of the samples came from our lab, because as you know, every season, influenza season, the previous season, you take the samples from that to try to predict what type of vaccines you will need in the new year. And so we have been able to supply WHO with samples.
He added that previously Guyana had not been administering influenza vaccinations, but this year the program will commence.
We would give them first to the healthcare workers and to older people in our population.
Minister Anthony stated that Guyana has achieved 30% of its national health strategy goals and is aiming for 45%, with the possibility of surpassing this target due to the rapid implementation of various initiatives.
We have at least 14 histochemistry tests that we can now do at the lab. And among the other things that we're able to do, if somebody had a biopsy for breast cancer, when in the past, just maybe about a year ago, if that biopsy came to the Georgetown Public Hospital, they took sometime 3 months to turn that sample around.
The minister added that in the past, breast cancer diagnoses were conducted in a very crude manner, providing results that only indicate malignancy without the ability to differentiate between various types of cancers.
This current lab allows us to do those differentiations. And so now when somebody is diagnosed with breast cancer, we can actually tell them what type of breast cancer. And that also would inform the doctors on the treatment.
Tiana Cole reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Thank you, Tiana. Stay with us. There is more news ahead.
Planning a cleanup? We can help. Sevon's Waste Management skip bins can be provided for home renovation projects, yard cleanup, or construction project. It's simple. Step 1, give us a call. Step 2, we put down the bin. Step 3, load it up with all of your junk. Step 4, we take it away. That's simple. Bins are also available in various sizes, so there is no job that is too big or too small. Call Sevon's Waste Management today at 218-1455.
Ready to up your game? Ready to up your game? Win big with over 60 epic prizes. A brand new PS5, Nintendo Switch, iPhone 16 Pro Max, Apple smartwatch, and the hottest earbuds from Apple and Samsung. Plus, we are giving away thousands in phone credit and a whole year supply of Buster or Turbo Energy drink. Here's how. Buy any Buster or Turbo Energy drink. Find the code starting with BB and enter online or on WhatsApp. Visit us on Facebook or Instagram at Turbo_Caribbean or Buster Guyana for all the details. Don't just play. Up your game with Buster and Turbo Energy.
In December 2019, Guyana embarked on a historic journey, producing oil offshore for the very first time with the Liza Destiny FPSO, delivering 120,000 barrels per day. Today, just 5 years later, the nation stands proud as the fastest growing economy in the world. With the addition of 2 more FPSOs, production has increased to approximately 650,000 barrels per day.
Guyana is on the verge of becoming a global destination for sports and culture. Through investments backed by the oil and gas sector, which exceed $3.7 billion Ghana dollars, Guyanese get access to infrastructure and skills training for various sporting activities. The synergy between the economic benefits of the oil operations offshore and support for national initiatives helps position Ghana more favorably on an international stage.
Thanks for staying with us here in the HGP Nightly News. A 58-year-old man is highly disturbed over the safety of his savings lodged in a reputable city bank after more than $1 million goes missing. More from Daisy Richards.
Mohammed Khan, a 58-year-old customer of Republic Bank Guyana, has lost $1.2 million from his savings account. The very worried man told this newscast that the money went missing in 2024 after renewing his bank card.
So I went to Camp Street and I went to withdraw $25,000. My card stuck into the machine. I went into the bank and I make a complaint. They decided to give me a new card and sign up for a new card.
Khan highlighted that he had never used the new card issued by the bank, but upon querying his account, discovered money was being withdrawn.
A day I went in to withdraw $25,000 from the machine. I noticed 500 or something thousand missing.
He said he returned to the teller at the Camp Street branch that initially took his complaint the first time, and he was only allowed to sign a paper to initiate an investigation into the stolen money. But he never knew that it was just the beginning, as another $600,000 went missing a few weeks after. He believes staff from the bank might be taking his money.
I tell them put a stop on it. They never did this. With my feelings and the way I see it, I think it's coming from the bank.
He claims that after his many complaints and inquiries, the bank has failed to safeguard his money. A document seen by this newscast showed that the bank has only made a commitment to returning $500,000 to Khan. Meanwhile, Nightly News made several telephone calls seeking comment from Republic Bank on the issue, but our calls went unanswered. For HGP Nightly News, I am Daisy Richards.
Several markets will receive significant rehabilitation works in 2025. This was revealed during Tuesday's consideration of the estimates of expected expenditures. More from Daisy Richards.
A number of markets will be rehabilitated in 2025 to the tune of more than $2 billion. This project was highlighted by Shadow Minister of Local Government and Regional Development Ganesh Mahipal on Day 3 of the consideration of estimates and expenditures. According to Minister of Local Government and Regional Development Sonia Parag, Border Green, Isla Penitence are all wise down, and the Stabroek Market are all earmarked for rehabilitation.
And it's under the Georgetown Enhancement Program, and we also have the Isla Penitence Market and drainage.
When questioned, Minister Parag highlighted that there will be 2 aspects under consideration as it regards the Border Green.
So we have a consultancy for the Border Green, and we have a construction of the Border Green. So it's 2 different things for the Border Green market.
The minister highlighted that they will be maximizing on space after consultation with Border Green vendors, and a concrete structure will be built.
And the vendors indicated they wanted a space proper space to utilize for the Board of Green, to maximize on space and include any other thing other than the vegetables and greens area. We wanted to see if perhaps we can put at least a 2-story building.
The $2 billion approved on Tuesday is part of the ministry's $41.8 billion budget approved for 2025. For HGP Nightly News, I am Daisy Richards.
Stay tuned for your regional news.
It's Digicel's 18th anniversary and we're going big with our blowout sale. Get up to 40% off Samsung smartphones. Yes, you heard that right. 40% off Samsung smartphones. Grab the Samsung A05 for just $17,000. The A15 for only $27,000. And the A25 Ella jaw-dropping $35,000. But wait, there's more. With every purchase, enjoy a 30-day free data plan to stay connected. Hurry to a Digicel store near you. Offer good while stocks last. Digicel, the network for everyone, everywhere.
Interested in honoring or paying tribute to a loved one, or just making a loved one feel special? HGP TV offers you all that and more. Air your birthday greetings, death announcements, and wedding anniversaries on HGP TV today. HGP TV offers affordable prices, convenience, and great services. Call us on 220-3660 or email us at sales@hgptv.com.
Get your tickets now for the One Guyana, One Love tribute to Bob Marley showcase at the Pegasus Poolside on Friday, February the 7th at 7 p.m. Featuring Brandon Harding, Mark Batson, Prince Ali, Empress Jalove, King Mandela, Beanick, Wi-Fi, DJ China, Carry and Correction Band, Lava Nile, and Ras Sebi, aka Bling Ras. MCs Melody Thomas and Ras Punchy. Music by Redemption Sound and Murphy One-Man Band. Admission $3,000 in advance. Get your tickets at the Pegasus Hotel front desk and White Castle Fish Shop at Hadfield and John Streets. For more information, call 661-2976. It's the One Guyana, One Love tribute to Bob Marley showcase. Stand up. Don't give up the fight.
Good evening, I'm Daisy Richards with Wednesday's edition of the Regional News. We begin with news from Mexico. Hundreds of Mexican soldiers were mobilized on Tuesday to the border with the United States as part of an agreement that halted U.S. tariffs on Mexican imports under the condition the Latin American country cracks down on fentanyl trafficking. The Mexican troops will be posted to hotspots along the border with high rates of illegal migration and drug and weapons trafficking, including the border states of Baja California, Sonora, and Tamaulipas, said 3 military and government officials with knowledge of the plan. The plan to eventually deploy 10,000 Mexican soldiers forms part of the deal announced on Monday, under which U.S. President Donald Trump paused his threat of 25% tariffs on Mexican imports. Mexico had vowed to impose retaliatory tariffs. Under the agreement, the United States has also promised to work to stop the flow of high-powered weapons into Mexico from the U.S., Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said. Some analysts said the hefty concentration on Mexican troops sent to the border could leave other vulnerable areas of Mexico without adequate security. Quote, "The president had a gun to her head to make such a decision," unquote, said Andres Humano, a researcher at Mexico's Northern Border College. A trade war between Mexico and the U.S. would likely have thrown Mexico into recession, while U.S. consumers would have been hit with higher prices on Mexican imports, including cars and trucks. While in Dominica, 2 bodies have been recovered from the wreckage of Cessna 172 aircraft that tragically crashed in the mountains of La Plaine, Dominica, January 26. Minister of National Security Rayburn Blackmore told the press on Monday. There were 4 people involved in the tragic accident. The plane, which had departed Douglas Charles Airport en route to Martinique, went down shortly after takeoff and lost communication around 3:46 p.m. Search and rescue operations located the wreckage the following day on a mountaintop in the village of La Plaine on the island's southeast coast. National Security Minister Rayburn Blackmore emphasized the significant challenges posed by the crash sites in accessibility. French rescue teams from nearby Martinique provided a helicopter and specialized personnel trained for high-risk operations. With their help, recovery efforts were able to locate and retrieve 2 of the 4 bodies from the crash. However, Blackmore acknowledged that the remaining 2 victims were still trapped inside the wreckage, complicating further recovery efforts. He noted that by Wednesday it had become clear that the existing strategy would need to be adjusted, as retrieving the final bodies was proving extremely difficult given the terrain and the nature of the wreckage. The crash has cast a shadow over the island, and local authorities have expressed their gratitude to the French team for their swift and effective support in the operation. The Dominica Air and Seaports Authority DASPA confirmed the loss of communication with the aircraft shortly after departure, but has not provided further details on the cause of the crash. The French have launched an investigation into what exactly occurred, with the recovery teams focusing on bringing the remaining victims home. The National Security Minister says the victims have not been released to the press in Dominica in an effort to safeguard grieving families. Finally, a 33-year-old man with 8 counts of abetment to importation of dangerous drugs appeared in court on Monday in the Bahamas. Hugh Corey Jr. went before Senior Magistrate Raquel Wims, where he was not required to enter a plea and was remanded to the Barbados Department of Corrections. His case was adjourned to April 17, 2025. The charges are related to a major drug seizure following a plane crash on Acklins Island in December 2024. The aircraft reportedly contained 762 kilograms of cocaine valued at $50,240,000 and 25 pounds of hydroponic marijuana worth $50,000. Thank you for watching. Until next time.
City councillor stabbed to death in Durban Backland. 16-year-old suspect being sought by the police. Attorney General disassociates his government from central housing controversial sale of prime state lands. 80 million allocation to revise Amerindian Act worthless with the PPPC's current posture, says indigenous opposition MPs, and 1.2 million missing from 56-year-old man's bank account. Alleges bank staff is swindling his money. Those are our major headlines. For these stories and more, please go to our website. It's www.hgptv.com. I'm Travis Chase. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.